Yes, have you ever thought of how children lived about 200 years ago? Nowadays, most girls from middle class families go to school and often study with boys. Next, on growing up, many of them go to college and universities and take up jobs. After that, next, they have to be adults before they are legally married, and according to law they can marry anyone they like from any caste and community, and widows can remarry to. Next, all women like all men can vote and stand for election. Next, of course, these rights are not actually enjoyed by all. Next, poor people have little or no access to education, and in many families, women cannot choose their husbands. Next, 200 years ago, things were very different. Most children were married off at an early age. Both Hindu and Muslim men could marry more than one wife in some parts of the country. Next, widows were praised if they chose death by burying themselves on the funeral pyre of their husbands. Women who died in this manner, whether willingly or otherwise, were called sati, meaning virtuous women. Women's rights to property were also restricted. Besides, most women had virtually no access to education. In many parts of the country, people believed that if a woman was educated, she would become a widow. Next, from the early 19th century, we find debates and discussions about social customs and practice taking on a new character. Next, one important reason for this was the development of new forms of communication. For the first time, books, newspaper, magazines, and pamphlets were printed. Next, these were far cheaper and far more accessible than the manuscripts that you have read about in class 7 and 8. Therefore, ordinary people could read these, and many of them could also write and express their ideas in their own language. Next, all kinds of issues, social, political, economic, and religious, could now be debated and discussed by men and sometimes by women as well in the new cities. Next, the discussions could reach out to a wider public and could become linked to movements for social change. Next, difference between men and women were not the only ones in society. In most regions, people were divided along lines of caste. Brahmans and Kshatriya considered themselves as upper caste. Others, such as a traders and many lenders, often referred to as a Vishad, were placed after them. Next, them came peasants and artisans, such as a weavers and potters, referred to as a Sudras. Next, at the lowest running were those who labored to keep cities and villages clean or worked at jobs that upper caste considered polluting, that is, it could lead to the loss of caste status. Next, The upper castes also treated many of these groups at the bottom as untouchable. They were not allowed to enter temples, draw water from the wells used by the upper castes, or bathe in ponds where upper castes bathed. They were seen as inferior human beings. Next, over the 19th and 20th centuries, many of these norms and presuppositions slowly changed. Let us see how this happened. Next, these debates were often initiated by Indian reforms and reform groups. Next, one such reformer was Raja Ram Mohan Rai, 1772-1833. He founded a reform association known as the Brahm Sabha, later known as the Brahm Samaj. In Calcutta, people such as Ram Mohan Rai are described as reforms because they felt that changes were necessary in society and unjust party-states needed to be done away with. They thought that the best way to ensure such change was by persuading people to give up old practice and adopt a new way of life. Next, this was one of the many pictures of Sati painted by the European artists who came to India. The practice of sati was seen as evidence of the barbarism of the East. Next, can you think of the ways in which social customs and practices were discussed in the pre-printing age when books, newspapers, and pamphlets were not readily available? Stop.